Thank
So,
you.
all right. So first, I want to thank all of you at the Indiana State Library, for your continued trust and partnership and for giving us the opportunity to come and spend time with the consortium today. And, we truly value this partnership as we've had it since 2006. Of course, also thank you to all of you members who are trusting us not only with your internet service, your firewall and filtering services that we provide through the consortium, but also with the additional services that we provide to many of you, like our voice, advanced firewall, DDoS, and Wi-Fi. So again, we sincerely appreciate the confidence that you place in us and the opportunity to continue serving you all as well. So with that, oh, good morning. Good morning. I see people saying hello in the chat. So
Oh,
quickly, for those of you who may not know me, my name know me personally, my name is Danielle Smith, and I've had the privilege of serving as an account director here for the consortium for 6 years now. And I am personally supporting more than 100 of you across central and southern Indiana. And many of you have been here the whole time. Some of you are newer, but this all began back in 2006 when we were ENA. And over the years, the membership has grown as well as some of the services that we offer in the consortium. And we are now under our new name, as we have been acquired by Zayo, which is Zayo Education. And we're now serving more than 160 of you here throughout the state of Indiana that are in the consortium. And so from the very beginning, I guess, our goal has always been to be a trusted partner and, support the incredibly important role that each of you play in your communities here in Indiana. We have always remained committed to providing you with, high quality services along with as much ongoing education as we can and helping support you as you take advantage of all the different funding opportunities that are available to you, as a consultant role. We understand that funding has been reduced here in the state of Indiana somewhat drastically for a lot of you over this past year. And we know that those cuts are impacting your planning and your operations. And we have met with all of the folks at the Indiana State Library, as well as Joe and I are starting to meet with all of you for the E-rate and account reviews. And we are better understanding all of your challenges, and we remain committed to supporting you guys any way we can. So that's kind of how this all came about, was what can we do to help support you as those changes are occurring. So as you know, right now, the consortium leverages, Category 1 funding along with the partnership with AdTech, who are actually the E-rate consultants or specialists. We are there to help guide and support you in maximizing those dollars and discounts along with them as the experts for E-rate. So today we want to share some additional funding opportunities that you may or may not be taking advantage of currently. Maybe you've passed on these things prior because of the complexity or the cost that was involved in accessing these funds. And our goal is simply today to make you aware of all the options that are available to you, likely with the help of your E-rate consultant. Then you can make the best decisions for your library and your communities, taking advantage of some of these things that maybe you haven't in the past. So at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Joe so he can introduce himself and walk through these opportunities with you. And while he's presenting, as Haley kind of mentioned, I will be monitoring the chat at the bottom of your screen. So if you hover, you'll see it says chat. If you click there and you want to type a question in there, I'll kind of be watching for that. And I will either respond in real time or hold everything to the end so everyone can kind of focus in. But just know, as Haley said, this will all be recorded. You'll have access to it. I will also be dropping some links that Joe will be mentioning in the presentation in the chat, but you will have access to those as well after. So, Joe.
thanks, Danielle. I appreciate that. I'll keep a side eye out in the chat, and hopefully I don't lose focus on it with my squirrel attention. Yes, I took a peek at a lot of the attendees, and I know quite a few names on there. So good morning, everybody. I've been with E&A since 2017 and started in a solutions engineering role, and in fact was supporting Danielle for many moons, and then have recently moved into the account manager role, and I cover Northern Indiana, and have been through. This will be my second season going through the state library service level discussions, many of which I've had already with you. So one of the things that I've been keying in on, though, understanding some of the let's say economic headwinds for the library community, is some opportunity to maximize some funding. And so, as you mentioned, Danielle, AdTech they're the E-rate experts. We're not E-rate consultants, but we've seen a thing or two, and wanted to pass along some ideas from a vendor's perspective, and how Category 2 funding could be utilized and expanded. If you're doing it today, great. You may be able to expand it. If you're not doing it today, this is an opportunity for you to get some additional funding. Everybody likes a 70%, 80%, 90% discount. But there's been a barrier to entry before. And maybe this will help show that what we've seen before as not something that's going to be worth the time today with some of the rule changes, could definitely be accessible. So just a quick primer on the E-rate program. Many of you know this, but the E-rate program it stems from, well, it's the FCC, and it's administered by USAC, the Universal Service Administrative Company. They're a nonprofit that helps steer the money that is coming in from the USF funds, Universal Service Funds, and that's the stuff at the bottom of our telecom bills that we're paying, and that goes into a fund, and that is dispersed for four different things. E-rate is just one of the pillars. The other one is the rural healthcare, and Lifeline is helping defray some costs for underserved communities, economically underserved. And then High Cost is the last one. It's more of like the rural broadband initiative, where you can't get there from here. AT&T is not going to build out there. Well, this will help incentivize and really bridge the digital divide that exists in the nation. That's the spirit of the program. As far as the E-rate side, which is where we live, there's two main categories. Category 1 is for bringing in the internet to the eyes of the learner or the patron. And so we're talking about internet access. We're talking about connectivity between your main library branch and out to your other branches. And there were other things. Voice used to be part of it. That got sunset back in 2016, and that's why there's going to be some hullabaloo going on right now, and maybe rightfully so. And I'll touch on that later on. As far as it being solely taken from telecom, like wireless and phones, when really most of that stuff coming in over the internet. Hotspots, they were available. I just put they were no longer on the menu. The focus of today, though, is going to be on the other side. It's Category 2. There's a eligible services list. We'll touch on that later. Like, what can we get funding on? In short, it's the network infrastructure and the cabling infrastructure underneath that. And cabling may involve a physical rack, maybe upgrading Cat 5 cable out to Cat 6A to workstations and whatnot. Those are some of the Category 2 eligible services. They publish that list annually, so there'll be a link to that also. in the chat. And then afterwards, we can certainly send out some of these links if you desire. So how is the funding derived? So it's based for libraries, it's based on your local school district's free and reduced lunch program. As far as how that's distributed, the category 1 is I put fully funded with the asterisk, meaning it's not infinite, but it has been always there. But you know, it's a strange timeline we live in. But one of the big things is no more library broadband grant. So that is something that's impacting all of us here. And along with that, in that same money in the same bill, took away the state matching funds for fiber build. So larger libraries could entertain possibly building their own fiber out, and the state would have some matching funds. We as Zayo, that's core Zayo's core competency is building fiber, bringing it from one place to the other. So that's been a change. Now the category 2 budget, that's based on your building size. And so per square foot, there's a new funding year just started here, and it goes through 2030. And it's measured at $5.43 per square foot. They have a funding floor of $30,000. And that's for some libraries that are considerably smaller than that. They'll still realize that maximum. So if you have a branch that's under 55,000 square feet, that would probably still be the rate would still be 30,000 for that. I read out there that if you have like a entity number on a bookmobile, they were counting that as well. So I am not an I'm not an E-rate consultant, but boy, that was news to me that you could get $30,000 if you had a bookmobile. So how to find your category 2 budget. I'm going to show today, we can go out and take a look from on the USAC website. With the Indiana State Library Consortium, you have AdTech filing the category 1 portion on your behalf. So many of you don't have what is an EPC account, that is for your entity, where you would log in and be able to see stuff against your library. If you filed in the past yourself, you likely already have that, and that would be probably the easiest way. Log back in and see that information. Danielle and we go out to the USAC's website, and we would look you up either by name or entity number. I have Kindleville in here right now. I'm not sure if they're in attendance or not, but I'll use them as an example. And so I did a search for them, and out here it's stating the $5.43 and the square footage based on the main library and their Limberlost branch as well, and showing the available and how much is utilized. So over the course of the next 5 years, hopefully you're starting to utilize category 2, but this would be a way to say how much is left in the tank. And this would apply, say you're an 80% free and reduced school lunch district, and so that's your rate. This would be able to apply to that 80%, and then you would be paying 20% out of pocket. Back to that presentation. Way to do it. Yay. Okay. And now's the time where I may be a little bit more of the solutions engineer past on the side here, and seeing covering some of the aspects of not only the program, but maybe some of the approaches and how to ask for and prepare for category 2 projects within your environment. It's top not wide, so not widely used is that's why we're here today as well. We find a lot of libraries are not taking advantage of category 2. The last funding cycle, we took our show on the road, north, south, central, and tried to, we had kind of a forum to inform the library community about the availability of category 2. We feel like, there's a couple reasons for potentially bad experiences. Before this 5-year funding cycle, it used to be that there was the pool of money and it would get paid out at 90% schools and then to 80 to 70. And then when it ran out, it ran out. Oftentimes it was at the 90%. Those are your largest districts across the country. Are normally 90%. And so a librarian a library director, tech director had gotten into a contract with an E-rate consultant, went through all of the legwork to do the RFP, brought in vendors, went through the whole bidding process, only to find out that they didn't get it funded. Probably only needs to happen once, and you're like, yeah, well, that's not fun. I'm not doing that anymore. So there was the 5-year funding cycle with that they took the entire budget and then carved that up. And so you do have that portion that is there. But in the past, people had tried it and found out, like, why even bother? The other thing is the purchase could be so small or small enough to where it didn't make sense to pay for. Get into contract with a consultant, or just go through the, time is money as well. Go through the entire competitive bidding process for, say, a new equipment cabinet. It's like that doesn't make sense. So we'll touch on this later. This is now becoming a possibility to realize category 2 funding for purchases such as that. Key thing to understand too, and this holds true for category 1 as well, when we're bringing in multiple circuits to a district, a library district, that they both need to be active. But same holds true for, say, your firewall at the edge. If you did want to have a spare or redundant, you'd need to ensure that they're in a able to do an active cluster for that. That doesn't really hold true for switches or access points, but when we're talking about firewalls, if you do want to have, bolster that and make sure that it's always up, because that's one of the bottlenecks out to the internet. Make sure that it can do an active. I did put a link to the eligible services list out there. Again, check that every year. And then in our last slide, I'm going to talk about what could be coming onto that list a little in the future, if my crystal ball has some clarity. So I got some acronyms here: IC, BMIC, and MIBS. This is the categorization. Internet connections, that's just the hardware. That's the boxes showing up on the loading dock. The basic maintenance of internet connections, that would be your support contract or your professional services to have that installed. This would be like, and I kind of characterize it as ship us the boxes, we got it, we're going to do the install, it's going to be 1-to-1. But for the professional services, basic maintenance of internet connections, and also that could be the support licenses to maybe even add access points to the cloud. And then MIBS is where we as Zayo Education, this is Our forte is fully managed network solutions. And so there's two different flavors of that with MIBS leased or MIBS existing. Leased is where we would own the hardware and provide fully managed support. The other would be where you pay upfront for the hardware and the professional installation, and then the ongoing maintenance afterwards would be a lower operational expense cost. But it would, and it's kind of maybe not the best word for existing, because it really, you can use it for existing. Say that you had say you had a Juniper Mist wireless environment, and you had this person on your IT staff who knew it and talked you into it, and it works great, and then they leave, and you're like, what am I going to do? You could go out and use MIBS existing for that and say, hey, I'd like to use E-rate dollars for somebody to come and help support the stuff that exists. But it also translates to brand new hardware too. So if you had older stuff and wanted to get a new managed network, you would file this way. Then at the bottom, Firewall Madness is today's firewalls do. It's table stakes. They're doing anti-malware. They're looking for intrusion. They have intrusion detection, intrusion prevention mechanisms. Most anymore are doing like geo blocking and keeping some nation states away from the outside of your network. However, the USAC and the E-rate program only recognize certain portions of a firewall as being eligible. In our situation, I think this may hold true for other vendors as well, is that it's like a 70-30 split. But if you keep the math easy, I think it's truly like 71-29, where 71% is considered basic firewall services. And that is really a basic stateful firewall, not even VPN. If you even the VPN service would make portions of your firewall ineligible. So that is something to consider and factor in as well. Hopefully this goes away, and I'll touch on that in a later slide. Do we have any questions to this point so far, or just keep plugging along?
Joe, I think while we're maybe waiting to see if there's any questions, I would say if you go back to that slide that you were just on, slide number 6, I think for a lot of you, having worked with you all over the last 6 years, a lot of the conversations that I've had with you have been, you either you have a lot of support on the tech side, or you don't. It's kind of feast or famine. And those of you who don't have a lot of tech support oftentimes look to partners such as Zayo Education or ENA back in the day. You look to us as how can we help and manage and do these things for you, because IC, BMIC, MIBS, active traffic, clusters, a lot of those things that maybe Joe was using or speaking about, you're not as familiar with. And so you've needed someone to kind of help support you along the way. And some of you have jumped on board with, for example, our managed Wi-Fi MIBS services, our services, where we help package it all up and get it out to you. It's covered by E-rate. We work with the ad tech along with you, and you go out to bid. We can do it for you. However, some of you have said to me, we don't spend enough. It's not worth it. I'll just go buy it on Amazon, or I'll buy it locally, or I'll work with my local guy and we'll just put it up and not worry about it because it seems hard. We don't spend enough. It's expensive to work with maybe like an ad tech or an E-rate consultant, and you've been apprehensive. So I know Joe's going to get into what the bottom line of all this is that has changed for some of you, if not all of you, because you can all take advantage of this new little loophole or or opportunity that they've created to some degree, up to a certain amount of money. So we're not trying to necessarily make it look hard here. It's actually we just want you to know that there's dollars out there that are sitting out there. Like Joe said, you can search, find how many dollars you have, and you can use those dollars up to a certain amount and not have to go to bid and do all that. You just have to partner with someone, a provider that has a spin number that can allow you to use those dollars. So I know he's going to talk about that as well. But your ad tech rep, which I know you're going to speak to, is really going to be helpful there. But for those of you
Mhm.
who I've spoken to in the past and said, "Hey, I think it's too expensive. We're just going to go and do this." At this point, moving forward, you will essentially be leaving money on the table and not taking advantage of your 60 to 90% discounts that you have that you could apply towards all of those things. So, sorry, just my little
No, that's
soapbox.
good. It's good kind of transition into this as well, which is one of the main things I would love to scream from the highest mountain is that, especially from my solutions engineering days where I had to respond and do the technical writing, um, is that putting your bid out it should not be the shopping phase. You should you should probably know what you're wanting before. Many of you do, but we see some doozies where they put something out, and like I said, you get one bite at the apple every 5 years for what your wireless environment or your patrons is going to look like. So my suggestion is to have these discussions in the summer, or well ahead of your filing. And that gives you a chance to not only vet the product but also vet the vendors that you interact with, and kind of get a sense of how they engage, and if you feel comfortable with them. Another important aspect, this is a dollars and cents thing that's kind of behind the scenes, is that um, I'm out there and I'm talking about Juniper Mist, and then there's another person that you've entertained and they're talking about Cisco Meraki, and there's somebody else who's talking about Extreme Networks. Um, all of them are going to go back to they have a partnership with that manufacturer, and they're going to ask for special pricing. So when you do release an RFP out, if you do go that route, they'll have an advantage against other competitors, other partners. All of this is in the spirit of competition too. So um, when they know, oh yes, I'm looking at Juniper and Cisco and Extreme, that they're going to get to a lower price point for you if they're doing it right. And even amongst other, like, all right, I'm going to go out and ask other people that I really want Juniper Mist because it's the best. Um, you're going to get a better price from the person that you're working with versus other people. You may get 4 responses back for Juniper Mist. You'll just know that you're going to be getting the best price and doing the what is it, fiduciary responsibility for your district by allowing somebody to go out and secure that advantage. When you get those quotes back, then you can explore the budgetary possibilities. What I mean by that is, uh, can we do it fully managed? Can we afford that? Does it make sense to do an operational expense model versus upfront? Can I budget? Like, what is it going to look like to run these new access points to the remodeled areas and the new meeting rooms, doing all the cabling coming out and putting this up front? Or can I pay for that up front? Um, eh, but hey, if I spread it out over 5 years, maybe that works. So you'll be able to have those decisions reached when you're getting quotes back. The other thing is the design. They're going to want to design, providing floor plans, say, let's do the work, let's get it right. Know that when you do get, that'll help you put out a good ask, and you might get a surprise. It may not be somebody you talk to. unless you talk to us, then, look no further. But putting out a design that might be more than just a floor plan. Anybody who's been through the ringer with me on a Wi-Fi design, you get on a Zoom and we're marking out bathrooms and stairwells, and that's where the friends of the library are. They don't need any Wi-Fi back there. You actually not just throwing out one floor plan with all the square footage and go, hey, make something work, but identifying things, maybe ceiling height or things for people that that may help drive a good design for people who are going to be competing. Lastly, great technology. You can have the shiniest new access point, but if it's in the wrong spot, it's not working. So yeah, please get out of the mindset of we got 4 APs right now. Let's just ask for 4. And then when filing, if you do go over the 470 route, this is another thing from my solutions engineering days. And also something from when I was out in Afghanistan as a civilian. Our colonel said, if you want it bad, you get it bad. And that's always stuck with me. Meaning like plan and prepare. So when you were posting, if you were to just send this out yourself and didn't provide a date, it's 28 days, correct, Danielle, for the ACD is like the automatic. Vendors at least get 28 days, but you can go further than that. I feel like the best thing for a complex design that's going to need wiring, you don't need to bring everybody out for a vendor meet if it's just going to be like, oh, coverage is great, we just want to freshen up our APs. You may not need to go through all of that. But if it's going to involve like a new design and some, especially with a lot of cabling work, we want to bring people out on site and know that that's going to happen probably a couple weeks after you post. And then when I come back and go, hey, Danielle, here's what I found. Well, put a quote together. And now we have to work with the manufacturer to get the pricing. We have to work with our pricing team. We have to work with our proposal team, all to get that together. And that takes time. And so I would urge you to pad some time in to your bid response due date. Otherwise, if you want it bad, you want it back fast, you may not be getting the best product back from your respondents. And then the last one, it is the season with the due date on like December 28th. Oh my gosh. Just when it comes to holidays, factor that in as well, that there may not be full manning, it may not be fully manned. Things are going to be slowing down. And you may want to stretch it out a little bit, so it doesn't land within a season where normally a lot of people are going to be on vacation. So this is the part that this is the star of the show almost, with the category 2 competitive bidding exemption. And so this is where smaller purchases at less than 3,600 annually, I clicked, I didn't want to, are exempt from filing a 470. So if you're a small library, you need 5 access points and a switch to cover you. Before, it would be like, I put the juice is not worth the squeeze. That's the little graphic there. I'm so nifty. But yeah, you're like, well, why would we use E-rate? Well, now you can have that same discussion that I talked about with other vendors and get that quote back and go, you know what? It's going to cost about $6,000 or $7,000 to pull this one off. but I did see a couple of them had that OpEx model, especially Zayo Education. That was a great quote. They're able to spread that out, and it's going to be less than $3,600 a year if I went this route. Maybe I don't even need to, go the consultant route and competitive bidding and all of the stress and hassle that way. That's where this can come in. That's what I put with that MIBS least. You can increase the potential cost if you do spread that out over, say, a 5-year term. And I put 25,000 square foot with some of the napkin. I call it napkin math, but I worked with. We have a lot of library customers who use our service, and looking at the square footage and how many access points are typically used to cover those areas, and the switch that would be needed to provide power over Ethernet to that. And the thought is, if you're at a library that's 25,000 square feet or below, I think it's worth taking a look. That kind of translates to eight indoor access points and a 24-port switch, or some myriad of that. It could be an outdoor access point's a little bit more, so it'd probably be 7 indoor, 1 outdoor. And that square footage, taking into account stairwells and some areas like your HVAC, your equipment rooms and all that, gets it down to reasonable. Like, hey, let's at least send Joe a floor plan and have those guys work on it and see what that design looks like, and go over that, talk to them, and maybe that's something that we can do directly. And so that would avoid the 470 process. You can go, hey, Danielle, this looks really great. I choose you. And then we go through the normal sales process. And then you can file the Form 471 yourself. I put spin to win. This would be in the case where maybe you have an IT consultant, independent, not part of the E-rate program. Buying through them, that probably won't work in that case. But you could maybe buy through like CDWG or somebody else if you're just buying hardware, like a couple UPSs or just a couple of switches, something to augment your current network. Ensure that who you're purchasing from is participating in the E-rate program. Any questions to this point?
So real quick, all that really comes down to, guys, that you don't have to go out to bid any longer. A lot of you had the fear of like having to go through that process, hiring someone a consultant to help you do that. And you no longer have to do that as long as you stay under that threshold for whatever it is you're asking for. So find out what your pot of money is. Okay, we put the link in there. Find out what your pot of money is. Write up something, work with someone that provides those services to help you come up with a quote and a good idea. Keep it under that threshold, and then you're able to bypass having to go to bid, and you can get those funds with your discount of whatever your category 2 discount is, which in some cases can be higher than your category 1 discount. So, and as a consultant and a partner with you, whether you want to use us or not, us along with your E-rate consultant at AdTech can always look up and help you with these things and talk you through how much you have and what your discount is. So if you ever have those questions, I know Joe and I are meeting with you all right now as we speak for your E-rate. If you have those questions, you can ask here. You can hit us up anytime, but also you have your AdTech consultant. What Charity and Chastity are both working with the consortium and with most libraries, I think, at this point.
Yep. And quickly, how the funding is received. Filing the 471 is I've awarded the bid, I've got the contract, and I'm going to ask for the funding. If you're filing directly, that's where that EPC, that getting that account, making sure you have the contract. That FRN is like for vendors. So that's when I'm talking about a spin number. they'd ask you for that number to put in. I've heard that it's not like super difficult. I've not walked through the process myself, but I do. When I was looking at like what is the possibility for for libraries and what size to do this and take advantage of this, I contacted our legal and like, hey, I know we're not E-rate consultants, but could we like work with somebody or do a presentation on how to file a 471? And she's like, silly guy, we already do that for some who file directly. I know that probably doesn't hold true for everyone, but with AI out there and whatnot. And then we'd even talked with the ISL about maybe that is something for consortium members. If we start utilizing this to play small ball and offense libraries, but just like always using cat or being that cat 2 is the first thing that comes to mind whenever I'm looking at a technology spend. I'm looking at that eligible services list and I'm trying to use cat 2. Maybe make some more training available, have a webinar like this in the future, to go over how to really do the 471. And then the SPI or bear, those are the funding methods. Zayo, we exclusively do SPI. We're kind of the easy button. You're just paying us the difference. If you're 80% school, we're sending you an invoice for 20%, and that's it. On the back end, we're reaching out and doing the funding request with the government. Bear is where the library, you would pay the full amount to the vendor, and then you would be doing the request for the reimbursement from USAC. And I'm not sure. I mean, just because we do it doesn't mean it's popular, but I don't really think it's popular. I don't know, Danielle, I don't know if you've seen that or.
Yeah, I don't see that a lot because, that requires in the library to budget everything up front and then do the application for reimbursement. And we like to think about the difference between spy and bear. Bears have claws, and so we call it clawing the money back. So you have to pay up front and then claw to get the money back from USAC, and that can take a certain amount of time and everything. So I don't see it too often. I think there's specialized cases, maybe even for big school districts where they do that, but not so much
Yeah,
libraries.
yeah, like the bear claws. I certainly wasn't thinking about that when I chose this graphic.
I don't
I
see
could have
I
done
don't
like a
see very many claws
breakfast,
there.
maybe a breakfast pastry would have been better.
Yeah.
Um, yes, I haven't seen it in the library space. We've seen that for large districts who need to kick off a fiber build like immediately, like not waiting for funding to get dispersed, because sometimes that takes a long time, or this has to happen during the summer for schools. And sometimes there have been delays. There were some delays last year too in funding. So that bear is used in I've seen it used in that scenario. The future, what is the future? The cybersecurity, there's a cybersecurity pilot happening right now that is expanding the E-rate funding to certain eligible services. And did you put the list? I'm gonna pop that up and see what it does. So we were talking about the firewalls and that weird split 70-30 and the stuff that is not E-rate eligible. Well, now they're during this 3-year cybersecurity pilot, they're making this available to those participating. That was definitely a first come, first serve. It was $200 million. It didn't go a long way. Not only that, I heard that the New York schools was one of them that got awarded, and they decided to even no bid, and theirs was $30 million of that 200. So
Wow.
anyway, not too many people participating in it, but hope springs eternal that things like these are not like luxury items in today's network, as many of you know. We sell a DDoS protection, and it's affordable, and it's a great product, but it is not E-rate eligible. And so our our customers who are K-12 and libraries are not having, there's not too many extra dollars laying around to throw at cybersecurity. There are things that you can't live without, though, in the days of ransomware. So endpoint protection, right now you're paying out of pocket. The hope is that at the coming out the other side of this, that some of these things are going to be E-rate eligible. And then there's some more particular ones as well. So that's on the pilots eligible services list. What happens in 2008? I don't know. It's going to be a lot of things to add without expanding funding. How would that funding expand? There's things going on right now where, like I said, right now it's your phone bill, but voice isn't even category 1 eligible anymore. So they're like, why are you doing this? Why it should be the internet providers across the nation. And the math has been like, hey, guess what? We can compress that down for like mobile phone taxes and actually start taxing these carriers that are people building the data centers like Dollar Generals across the country. Maybe start taxing them a little bit. So hopefully that expands. But I think that the point I want to get across is, like, if you're getting into like a multi-year contract discussion for an expensive part of cybersecurity, maybe next year, 2027, I would be keeping an eye out. Hopefully this starts all coming into focus across the industry. If I sign now in 2028 and it becomes an E-rate eligible, what happens? This may be a good question to ask your vendor. I did a couple examples, but really I talked through them all. I mean, the first one would just be a managed network, and doing the meeting up front and getting the quote, then deciding, hey, I could use capex, OpEx. I've got the technical prowess to do it myself. And then based on the money, that's the to bid or not to bid. And then, smaller example would just be, what is the term that, I don't know if my manager's on here, but he likes to use the term pots and pans. And this would be kind of pots and pans, a UPS or you did a little small annex or something like that. That could be going out directly. You know that you're going to do the work yourself, or need a vendor, getting that same process going. And then this example is going to be like, hey, the person I'm working with doesn't do the spin stuff. They don't know about it. They're new. They just got part of the USAC program. Well, that might be an instance where you have to pay them and then claw back. And I did leave us 10 minutes for Q&A. Surprising.
Good work. All right, I know that's a lot of information, and I know a lot of you don't necessarily get into all the weeds, and we try to keep you as far from the weeds as possible. But I think, our whole thought was, we understand funding's being pulled, we understand that dollars are short, and we just want to make sure that you're aware of this. Take it in today. You're going to have access to this presentation. You'll have access to the links. You always have access to Joe and I, as well as the ad tech consultants that we partner with here in the consortium. So we, Joe and I, like we say, we're not experts, but we do know enough to be very, very dangerous, and we've helped support you for a long time in these categories. But we will always be able to guide you towards who can get this stuff done for you and kind of help you think through these things. It's all about leveraging the dollars that are already there for you, taking advantage of those, not being concerned with the process and the cost as much, because there are some things out there that are different this year where you can take advantage of those dollars and not have to go through a lot of what you had to go through in the past. So
Yep.
hopefully that came across, but I do know it's a lot. If you have questions, don't be shy. Throw them out
I,
there.
I've been known to get geeky and
You,
lean on
you know,
esoteric jargon,
you
but
start talking about active clusters to my library directors, and I'm like, Joe.
I love it. I love it.
But there are
We'll
those of
talk
you,
all
not to
day.
say there's not plenty of you out there who are technical, but but yeah, we're here to help. So anybody have any questions for us? Can you do multiple projects over time that are all under the threshold, a different project under 3,600 a year, and qualify for the competitive bidding exemption?
Yes. Yeah, it's annual. However, like if you were to say do an OPEX model where it's going to be $2,000 every year over 5 years, you'd have to now you only have 1,600 to be able to spend annually. So do take that into account.
Yep. So Michael, are they able to come off mute, Haley, or no? If not, that's okay. I'll just tell them to put it in the chat.
No,
No. Okay.
I don't think so. I think it's
That's
just yeah, a webinar instead of a meeting. So
That's okay. That's okay.
Yep.
So Michael, just let us know if you need a little more information around that. But yeah, the answer
Yep.
to your question is yes. And I know Kate, bless you, Kate, you're on there saying answer like I'm a 6-year-old. I understand that. So if you're a library director and you know that you're leaving money on the table, what would be a no-brainer idea for utilizing these funds? And again, answer like I'm a 6-year-old. I mean, for me, the no-brainer would be think about what you need and what you have upcoming. We can look up the dollar amount you have, whatever that dollar amount is, that money is sitting there that you can use. What are the things that are on the eligible list that we gave you a link for that you're planning for? Okay. And again, to Michael's point, how can we break that up so that you can take advantage of this no bid process and still get the discount and access to those funds? So, Joe, do you have I mean, that's what I would do. I would look at what I'm planning for, what I need, because a lot of you have really great fast internet, but maybe 10-year-old access points that can't take advantage of that internet access. Let's get those replaced. Let's update your cabling and everything. So think about what you need, lay out the costs and divide it up. But Joe, what do you think?
Yeah. Nothing like in particular jumps out. If you're not providing outdoor coverage to summer reading program areas or maybe a parking lot, that could be something to add onto your existing network. That would be small. But I think it would be getting into the mindset of every time I'm looking to do a spend on something that is going to come to me in a box and is going to need services to install it. Is it Cat 2 eligible? Call Danielle or Joe to sanity check it if need be, and just have that mindset. Put everything through that filter first before spending money.
Yep. Because we're happy to, again, to talk you through all of that, whether you use our services to do it or not, or whether we provide those services or not. We're typically able to kind of point you in the right direction.
Correct.
Yeah. So Kate, let me know if that answers your question or not. I think it's just outdoor spaces, community areas, especially like Joe mentioned. Some of you have talked about people who like to sit out in your parking lot and work or whatever. So are your parking lots covered? Some of you want that, some of you don't. But thinking not just inside the library, but outside the library as well.
Yep. And and this is something that we don't currently sell, but I feel like in the rural community, having clean power to that expensive equipment is important. So we always find out when your battery backup, your power conditioner goes bad is when the lights go out, and it does too. Or like, what is that thing that makes a little tripping noise? if you do have one and it's been there for a while, maybe look at just a little insurance policy and putting some battery run time there with what's called a UPS, on an uninterruptible power supply.
Yeah. Yeah. And I see that Kate says, she's not sure what they
Yep.
need, but they have a large backyard, yeah, start thinking about not only indoor spaces, but outdoor spaces, community gathering areas, courtyards, anything like that, that you want to provide some additional service to,
We've
we can
seen,
do that.
yeah, we've seen some rooms that were storage turn into program rooms, and now it became a coverage concern. It's basically effectively a K-12 classroom because you're bringing community members in there. So it could be just a single access point upgrade to make sure it can handle an influx of devices. And as you know, most people are not even bringing one device into your library today. They're bringing multiple.
Yeah. Is $3,600 the undiscounted amount? Ross is asking.
No, that is what would come on the quote. So if it's for $3,600, then you would still be subdividing that, and you'd be having to fund 20% of it.
So can you break it down, like if they had a project that was $10,000 quote or something like?
Yeah, so that would be above the $3,600.
Mhm.
So you need to come in at something that would be, let's say it was $3,000, and you were because I'm great at math, I'm going to say you're in a 50% district. You'd be, they would fund that project, and you would get $1,500 funded, and you'd be paying $1,500 out of pocket.
Okay, is that your question, Ross? Like, are you thinking like, is that $1,500 towards the 3,600, or how does that? I think that might be what. Okay. All right.
Excellent.
And I know that Charity has contacted me about a few of you who have heard about this and reached out and said, hey, we're going to bypass going out to bid on this. They want information on these products. Can you put that quote together so that we can file the 471 and get the dollars? So I think it's getting out there to a lot of you, but we just wanted to give you a little more information and a way to look at it. Yeah. Digesting it slower, Marie, that makes sense. Yeah, it is a lot, but having knowledge is power, we always like to say, and we like to share it with you, give you the basics, and then let you come to us with questions on the backside.
Yeah, just know that it is out there, and
yeah,
something that you should be thinking about when confronted with a technology purchase.
Yeah. And Haley, how will we, if we want to share this presentation with them, do you want us to like send it to you? How will it get out to them?
Yeah, you can send it to me, and either tomorrow or sometime next week, I will send out the slides and a link to the recording and your LEU certificate.
Anyone else have any questions? I don't know if we have a hard stop. Do we have a hard stop here at 11?
Yeah, we can go ahead and your contact information will be in with the slide as well. So I'll just go ahead and thank you, Danielle. Thank you, Joe, for presenting this for us today and teaching us a little bit more about Category 2.
Oh, thank you, everyone in the chat.
Quite welcome.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much, everybody.
To the invite. Bye all.
Thanks, Daniel. All right, bye.